Hello, everybody. Welcome to Perspectives of Change. As you know me, I'm your host, Sarika Kharbanda, and today I am so excited, bringing someone very special on our podcast. And we call the topic of today, it's a very interesting name. We just confirmed with the speaker or the guest that I can use this. Indulge in the luxury of purity because your skin eats too. And that's an amazing topic, at least for me, as I've been opening up a little bit more on that topic for myself and doing some research around it. But we're going to hear more on this topic from our amazing guest today, Geeta Prakash, who joins in from the same city that I am in, which is Pune. Hi, Geeta, and very welcome to Perspectives of Change.
Hi, Sarika, and thank you so much for inviting me here to your very interesting podcast.
It's totally my pleasure. But without further ado, I am going to actually hand over the introduction of Geeta to Geeta herself. But I just realized over an offline as in before we started the recording conversation, that Geeta is a reluctant entrepreneur. And I'm just going to stick on to those words, but also adding a little formally to what I've known Geeta as from I think we met during Spark the Change India in 2018, I think in the month of Feb when it was. And it was amazing to see and understand Geeta, the little that I could since I was organizing the conference. But I remembered a couple months ago, oh, I should be connecting back with Geeta. And I was like, oh, she has an amazing business now. And then I Googled up everything around what she's doing. And I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful a business that we just need to bring her on Perspectives of Change. And I'm not going to, let's say, what do I call it? Break the surprise I'm not going to share anything, but just give it over to you, Geeta. Tell us more.
Okay, so I don't really know what all you want by way of introduction.
Well, a little about yourself, so we know you as the individual first, and the reluctancy, I think, will come later. So we'll get to that at some point in the podcast.
Okay, so basically, so in my current avatar, let's put it this way, I'm the founder and CEO or co-founder and CEO of Parama Naturals, which is aimed at bringing back the benefits of ancient traditions of, ingredients like turmeric and the powerhouse of nature that the Indian ethos has through a range of our turmeric powered 100% natural skincare and wellness products, which work at different levels of the body. So through the skin application, through the aroma that they bring in. And basically, the focus is on very pure ingredients and effective formulations because we believe the skin eats too. So everything that you apply on your skin is getting absorbed. And that is what needs to lead to your wellness. And so our focus is on making sure that we have great things in, leave out all the bad things, and make sure that the products are so effective that they can be used in your busy modern lifestyles. And other aspects about my self-introduction are that I'm an electrical engineer actually by training and from the College of Engineering, Pune, since you're from Pune. I did my business management at IIM Ahmedabad. I initially worked with Thermax, which is also a company based out of Pune. And subsequently, I used to work with the Tata Administrative Service and especially with Tata Motors. And during my diverse career of, whether it was finance and business planning, or it was sales and marketing, or strategy, or HR, I started developing a lot of interest in people development. And so I also worked for over 10 years in a part-time role with the Indian Institute of Management at Udaipur, one of the new IIMs. And uh, I've been fortunate enough to get different exposures, uh, both by being part of the advisory boards of different companies on sustainability and startup, but a lot more because of my various passions and volunteering interests. So I volunteered with an organization called SPICMK, which is right from college and right up till now. Whenever I have some time, I like to give it back, which is focused on promoting Indian classical music and culture amongst youth. Is to volunteer with trying to green Pune takeries, which I used to think of as being the green lungs of Pune and which were getting denuded. So we worked on reforestation, on biodiversity work, trying to make sure that they don't get denuded further. Then worked in the area of, volunteered in the area of some tribal education with Ekal Vidyalay, worked with, volunteered again with another area of looking at engaging bright young minds, because I think of them as being leaders of tomorrow, and they can have a multiplier effect or a cascading effect. And so to actually look at how to hone young minds who are very bright to help them connect the dots. So I volunteered there. And finally, on women's empowerment, I worked with an NGO, helping them to get the CSR links to make sure that their organization can grow by engaging and empowering women through digital empowerment, through vocational training, various kinds of things for micro entrepreneurs. So the reason I talked about all this is that one big aspect of mine is that I'm very passionate about many things. Sometimes almost to the point of being a jack of all trades. And I don't know sometimes, am I the master of one or not? But yeah, these are all different things which I love connecting the dots on. And last but not the least, I'm a mother of two kids. Well, I can't really call them kids anymore. One is an adult who's in college, and the other one should be entering college next year, but she's been an adult for probably more than 10 years.
Nice.
So, yes.
Beautiful. So
yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted. Just go on.
No, not at all, not at all. And in fact, so I think, just by way of introduction, I don't know whether this goes into this piece or not, but when I talked about that so this was an earlier avatar of being in the corporate world, and today midlife I started to become an entrepreneur. And I think because you've talked about the reluctancy, it was like, I think, and I'll talk about the reluctancy later, but the reason I looked at starting this is that the whole journey started with my quest for healthier living options for my family and for myself. And coupling them with negligible self-care time as a working professional, I realized that there was a need to bring in all great things of our ancient traditions, being able to dovetail them into small, I would call it atomic habits today, thanks to James Clear. That's a new coinage that we can use. But definitely it was part of our core traditions as part of Ayurveda, the dinacharya, or the daily lifestyle or the daily regimen, which was about, making small habits out of your daily regimen. And that is what leads to wellness. And I realized that A, that knowledge was missing. B, the time that people had was missing. So how can we bring that in with modern technology while keeping out all the bad things? And my only reluctance was that who starts a business at the ripe old age of almost 50? So I have never had a business background. I was always in the service sector. Both my parents' families were into education. My dad was in service. I had myself worked in service, and business itself was not, necessarily something that a non-business family person did. luckily the environment kind of changed, and startups is the new buzzword. But more than it being even societally acceptable, it's our mindsets which are so programmed in some ways that it takes a long time to unlock ourselves. And I think that is what was the reluctance. But now I'm just simply loving this journey because I'm able to weave in all my passions together along with health and wellness. And, it's it's just wonderful.
Oh, it totally comes through when you talk. Your passion, the journey is so, your talk is so reflective of everything you do. Every conversation I think we've now had, I think, 2 conversations, and of course lots of chats that we are connecting on now since we got reconnected. But I think it's so amazing to see the words of passion about your journey that are coming through. And I want to get that passion to our listeners and viewers. And which is why this question, I think, is key, because you are calling this passion of yours Parama Naturals. And I think there is so much significance on these 2 words that I want you to just bring those 2 elements out. And I do want to stress to our viewers, if you haven't, read much about this, the link to the website Parama Naturals is in the show notes below. Do visit it because there's so much about the journey. I'm not sure if we're going to cover it all on this particular podcast, but we are happy to bring Geeta back again. The least that I want before we get into, the products, the turmeric and all of that, why Parama Naturals? What does it really mean to you?
Okay, so I hope you're ready for a slightly longish answer, because I think so the journey, as I said, and I don't know whether I said it during the podcast already or this is in one of our other conversations, but the journey was actually a very long journey. And there were many, many instances over a long period of time which kind of connected more like pieces of the jigsaw, and which finally led to the baby being born. Okay. So the first leg of the journey was probably when I was still a working professional and I barely had time for self-care. Okay. I think I would probably get ready during the little time that I would sit in the car, probably at a signal, uh, get set and go to work. The second small thing was that I would land up picking up some products duty free. Those days, the fancier products were only available on duty frees. Subsequently, of course, many products came into the Indian market. But every time I would land up using a product, I would find that I was a little allergic to the very strong smells of fragrances, even however pleasant they seem to be. Mm-hmm. But I would end up getting a headache. Okay. The third one was during the time I was pregnant, and I started reading labels of ingredients on the bottles, because first was only about the nutritional value because I had gestational diabetes. The second was slowly about trying to see whether there were any dangerous ingredients in it which might cross the placenta-fetal barrier and have any issues. And subsequently, that kind of continued during the nursing period as well, to see what was in it that I was eating. But there was another instance subsequently when my newborn daughter had asthma, and I started finding, and she would break out. So, initially it started her out with oiling her body, like we do the, bai ka massage, tel ki malish.
Right.
And the moment she started getting a little friskier and also weather started getting warmer, I wanted to move to a lighter oil. I used a popular baby oil product from the market, realized that she got rashes, looked at the ingredients, it had mineral oil, kept it aside, went back to the oils. But sooner or later, I wanted to move to a moisturizer because, by now she was getting frisky and didn't want to sit down for a malish.
Right.
And so I tried a natural, premium, luxurious brand of Ayurvedic moisturizers, and lo and behold, she still broke out under a rash. And I started reading the labels there, because till then I had never looked at skincare labels except this mineral oil thing which I discovered. And I realized that in that entire list, there were very few natural ingredients. And I saw this long list of chemical ingredients, which, despite being an engineer or a science graduate, I could make no head nor tail of it. But thanks to Google, Deva, one started researching some things, and some things came out, things like parabens, like struck out, that avoid parabens because they can lead to hormonal dysfunctions in teenage girls, or they are linked to, like deodorants are linked to breast cancer, or some ingredients, like even some of these ingredients, phthalates, parabens, etc., are linked to cancers of the skin, cancers, uterine cancers. Some fragrances are linked to asthma and to respiratory disorders. So, these things started happening. But what was the solution? So anyway, at that point in time, I had quit my job on this slightly maudlin note that, the Tatas can find another me, but my daughter can't, because she would, when she would have her breathing issues, and she would just, seem so helpless at that young age. You can't imagine that you would be working and concentrating at work when you know that your daughter is struggling for breath. And that's so primordial, right? It's not just like bukhar hai or something like that. So anyway, so that was another thing. And I also realized in the meantime, actually, we realized my husband's an investor. So he had been approached for investing in a turnaround situation of for a plant which was making extracts of herbs and spices. And during my journey of working on my daughter's asthma, which was getting into holistic and integrative healing, looking at Ayurveda, homeopathy, aromatherapy, yoga, dietary changes, various things, we had been understanding that there is so much of power in Ayurveda and in herbs, in plant remedies, in holistic healing. But somehow they did not come to the forefront because A, there was lack of standardization. B, there were a lot of stories behind these about how pesticides, heavy metals, various things come into the herbs when you extract from them. And see again that there was not so much of modern scientific knowledge behind them. And, most modern, all of us, actually, a lot of us who are from nuclear, modern, Western educated families, a lot of these traditions seem like mambo jumbo. वो काली पुड़िया में क्या देंगे, हमें क्या मालूम उसमें क्या है, उसमें भी steroids हो सकते हैं. So there were things like this which are around it, and नहीं इससे भी rashes हो सकती हैं. So there were many things, and then we realized that this extraction process, which was something called supercritical CO2 extraction, was able to extract things out without any chemicals, without any solvents. You could standardize it. You could make sure that all the pesticides, heavy metals, everything is left out, and you can get in only what you get. And my husband, who was working on the research on that, was able to take out a very pure extract of turmeric. Okay. And at that same time, soon after that, I think, of course, for my daughter, I used to put that into the oils, because we found that the effect of that haldi ka tel was the effect of a haldi uptan.
Okay.
So what gets absorbed through the skin when we make a haldi uptan is precisely what that extract was. Because what is there otherwise in the substrate, which is the yellow staining part, is actually a fairly big molecule, and that stays on the surface. And haldi uptan, which is India's, I would say, in most traditions, whether it is right from the mundan time, when the baby is born, to subsequently when the children fall down, or they get into teenagehood for acne. And then, of course, before the wedding, you have the entire haldi uptan ceremony. Why? For skin clarifying, for detoxifying, and all that. In fact, it was part of the daily, or if not, at least weekly regimen. In fact, if you travel down south, even today in some of the smaller towns in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, sometimes even in Karnataka, you'll find ladies with a yellow face, typically on a Friday morning. Because that is the day you're supposed to put this. So it was, but today, can you imagine, us going to college with a yellow color? You could you imagine being on this podcast, for that matter? Having a face which is yellow and blotchy? You can't. Or so you want the benefits, but you can't. So this was one aspect, so which was working on my daughter, and it had worked on my mother-in-law. She had psoriatic skin. But keeping that aside, one of my friends who was living in the community with me, and she was breaking out into some rashes with the moisturizers and sunscreens that she was using. And then she said, "Why, Geeta? Why did you know?" Because by that time I was the resident go-to for natural herbal remedies kind of thing. So she came to me and she said, "Geeta, give me something for my, I'm getting these blotches, I'm getting this dry skin, please give me something." So I made this concoction with the turmeric extract that we made and with some oils, and I gave it to her. I said, "Just check it out. See if you should not break out." So I checked with her the next day. I said, "Did you break out? Did it suit you?" She said, it suited me. And then I also forgot about it. But a few months later, about 3 months later, I think, we met at a party. And she was complimented on her glowing skin. And she's like really pretty in any case. So, she always is, in that sense, a star. So when she was complimented on her glowing skin, she said, "And what are you using these days?" She said, "I'm just using the oil that Geeta made." And then, so everybody else pounced on, "What is this? What have you given her that,
Uh-huh.
why did you give us two?" I said, "She had a problem, so I made it for her and I gave it to her." So, "Hamare liye bhi banao." So I said, "I made it and I gave it." She said, "Now the bottle is getting over, now give us some more."
Right.
And then I said, "Nahi yaar, why don't you go and buy some of the other brands there? Bahut sare hain. Go and make it. I can't sell it. I'll happily make it for you." "No, no, we'll feel embarrassed." Anyway, so because of that, I would constantly look for products. But this still did not prompt me enough to start a business yet. Okay. Because the extracts business that we were looking at, we were still looking at dietary supplements. We were looking at saying we formulated something which was the equivalent of a haldi doodh in a capsule. And I wish we had launched it, pre-pandemic. We would have, I think, become multimillionaires by now. So I'd worked in a formulation for asthma. I'd worked in a formulation for, so all the things which are pain points, and I felt, these are things which are universal. We'd worked on those formulations, but somehow, because I was not a doctor by myself, I guess there is some amount of hesitation. The second thing was, we'd attended some conferences in France, in Grasse, and in the medical conference there was a research which was shared about how the chemicals in leave-on skincare and cosmetics was one of the largest causes for skin cancers, breast cancers, and uterine cancers. And that was a shocker. Now, that was a shocker. I mean, you say that, right? But we think, okay, cosmetics, hum log India mein to use hi nahi karte hain. Then you realize that when you say leave-on cosmetics, it's actually your moisturizers, your serums, your leave-in serums in the hair. All these things are kind of penetrating inside. Even then, it was still a statistic, right? It was a study, a talk by some doctors. But the epiphany was when, coming back from there, I had these little boils on my leg and I'd applied some neem oil. And after having applied the neem oil, I actually tasted I suddenly started finding my mouth very bitter. I thought maybe I've been very careless and, left remnants of the skin of the oil on my fingers. So the next time I was very careful. But this happened second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. By that time, it was unmistakable.
Okay.
That I'm applying this thing on my leg and I can feel it I can taste it on my lips.
Interesting.
And that was, oh my God, you cannot imagine. That day Sarika was where it was, my God, I think it was a huge aha moment for me. I said, yes, you know what they're talking about, the skin absorbing all these chemicals, it is actually true. But then why don't we realize that these chemicals are getting absorbed by us? Is because all those chemicals are these colorless, odorless, tasteless molecules. You read about them, when you do chemistry experiments, you say, this was colorless, odorless, and tasteless. And that's what those chemicals are, and you don't realize it. But this is what was, and that day was this whole imagery of some nasty chemicals coursing through my veins and arteries. And I don't know if if you ever saw this movie called Aliens. There was Sigourney Weaver in that. And suddenly there was this memory flashback of that. And I was suddenly seeing that there are these things which are, going through my body and causing chaos.
Wow.
And then he say, my God, I said, why was this not so evident? He said, because on the other hand, your heart patches, your, cardiac patches, nicotine patches, they're all about patches on the skin and they are going to your organs. So why do we have these compartments? I mean, these were compartments in my brain. And then I realized that if I work on, so obviously there is a need to be able to work on wellness through skincare. When I say need, meaning this was my perceived need, and I felt that this is something which is not really true just for me, but a whole wide world out there who does not really have that time, the patience, or the interest in making those uptans at home and looking after their skin.
Mm.
And yet, in our very, I would say, externally oriented world, we need to be presentable in your job, whether you're doing a podcast, whether you have a meeting, you need to be well groomed. You need to have, and even before that, even if you're not there, when you first look at yourself in the mirror, when you have a sallow complexion or you have some problematic skin, the first thing that comes, oh God, what is this problem, right?
Exactly.
So I think, so keeping aside, see, when we were growing up, beauty was considered as beauty, and this was to be done by those people who were non-intellectuals. Okay. But today, if you look at it as not necessarily beauty, you don't have to do the Botox and you don't have to do things which might harm you or whatever. But there is so much of connection between body and mind wellness, which is driven through the skin and to which the skin is a reflection of. It's actually the largest organ in our human body. And so I think coming back to your question, so when all these little pieces connected as bits of the jigsaw, and I think that is where I realized that there is a need for something which is pure, which is effective, yet which is convenient. And it can work on prevention, it can work on therapy. And that, and if we can dovetail that into a daily life for a person, that is what prompted me to look at Parama Naturals or for creating Parama Naturals. And you talked about the name. So my idea was Parama. Param, it's actually Param. Param means the ultimate. And I wanted it to be the ultimate in naturals. So with zero chemicals is what I wanted it to be. And with no compromise. So I think that is what the genesis of the name was. And that was the genesis of bringing out this set of products. And bringing back to haldi was, typically when we go to a store and we have a wide range of products to choose from, and typically which happens in many of these herbal products or natural or Ayurvedic products, you don't really know which product is suited for you. You think that, okay, this is going, will this suit me? Will this not suit me? Is this ideal for my skin type? It is not. Whereas when we look at buying a product off the shelf, a mainstream lotion or a moisturizer, we don't really look at that. All we look at is oily skin or non-oily skin, right? At best. So I wanted to try and demystify it or bring out demystified products, let's put it this way, where somebody can use it blindly. Whether it's a baby, like in a home, when we grew up, there was just one cream which was there. Whatever brand that was, everybody used it.
Yes.
You do not have a specification key. It's for him or for her, for baby or for dada, or, it was just not that. So I wanted there to be at least one level of staple products that you're using kind of 365 days in the year, or everybody in the home is using, or you're keeping it on your body for, 24/7. Those are the ones which are the largest. Both, it can work for good things and it can also lead to harm. So those are the products that we worked on, that at least for your top to toe daily routine, can you have a set of staples that you can blindfoldedly trust for everyone, that even for the most sensitive skins, that kind of like staples in food. We look at organic, natural, like when we look at is this pesticide free, is this organically grown, is it naturally grown? Those are the kind of, so the equivalent of that. Whereas, sometimes when you're using one ketchup, you probably won't bother to check what is the ingredient because you're using very little of that. You're using just for a few days in the year. Whereas dal chawal is daily. So a set of daily things. And haldi was that daily thing. Not just for pacifying daily, but actually it is just so overpowering. When you look at the benefits that haldi has, it has age defying properties. It has collagen boosting properties. It goes into the cellular level along with the oil, and it actually works on collagen boosting. It works on surface issues when you have fungal infections or you have any cuts or any rashes. It soothes all of that. It works at an aroma level. It's actually a very soothing and calming thing. And because I think an Indian tradition is just so around haldi, I felt that that is something which needs to just be brought back into daily lives. So that's your long answer to your short question.
It's a brilliant answer. I think it actually took me through the journey of, I could imagine you starting off from somewhere and then going all the way to where you are today. Also, because I am personally connected to turmeric. Of course, I use it on a day-to-day basis in so many ways, even if it means making an uptan for my face. There is always haldi in that. So, of course, I get it, right? And it's there for pretty much everything you said. We've been using it since childhood, whether it's a burn, it's a cut, anything. But I think the way you formulated these, should we call them, I don't know, concoctions or whatever you want to call it, or the extracts that you've, gotten out, and you've made them into like pretty little oil. So I can just show this for my viewers and for my listeners. Of course, I've put a link already there so you can take a look at what I'm showing right now as a small product. I think it's really a simple product for me to use, because when I ordered for this, and I ordered a whole bunch today, and in no way am I promoting this product, but I think people, if you will use it, you will automatically buy it. I can guarantee that to you. It's honestly, let me just tell you a small story, right? What happened just day before yesterday. So I was really tired with the whole day. All that I needed was like a good massage of my foot at the end of the day, because my feet were really paining. So was my knee, which generally takes 2 or 3 days to recover. And I, of course, might use like a Volini or, something just to kind of soothe it down. And I was like, or maybe a homemade oil. But then I saw, oh, that wasn't really made. So what do I do? And then I was like, you know what? I've just got this amazing oil. So let me use it. Let me see. I have to check for effectiveness, right? I'm talking to you on a podcast and I was like, oh, let me check. What if it doesn't work? Then what am I going to ask Geeta, right? To be very transparent, right? That's something that'll be there in anybody's head, right? And I tried it, and believe it or not, next day morning I had zero pain. Zero, literally. And my feet were wanting to dance. I was like, okay, my feet are dancey feet, which is really nice. So again, it's a very personal thing, I think, and very easy to use, right? All I had to do is remove the cap and just press this, and I'm gonna get oil out of this. No stains on my clothes. My bed sheets were clean. Everything was good. And I was like, that's like the simplest thing I could do and get. And I think that it doesn't end here. So I was like, I know I'm going to do a long travel today. Maybe I want to carry it in my purse. So if my knee pains while I'm driving, I can always use this, right? The best thing I loved was this bag. I was like, just drop it in, put it in my purse and run with it. It was really amazing. I think you've really thought of those minute details, as you call it, for the modern society that we live in, where people are in a rush. People are not going to want to think twice. I think those small things that you probably were reluctant to start as a business, but I think now that you're in it, you've been really, you and probably your team together, right? All of you have been really thinking about these minute things that matter to me as a customer. Again, I'm not saying it because I've got you on this podcast, being very, very honest and transparent. I think this is brilliant. And if anybody wants to see or, experience it, just try any product. I think, yeah, see if you can, I benefited with this ginger oil. You call it re-energizing, pain and stiffness. I think it works. It does work for me. So I thank you for that, Geeta. Thank you very much.
Okay, lovely, lovely. I'm so happy that it worked for you. And so I'll tell you the genesis of that zingiber oil. And before that, I'll tell you, so since you make your haldi uptan every once in a while and apply it, the whole idea of the turmeric oil was this, that you can get the benefits of a haldi uptan in just that one spray which you rub and apply on your face.
Right.
And probably 20 seconds or 30 seconds, you're getting the benefit of that. That's it. No mixing, no mess, no stains, and you can go about your daily routine. It's like this. Sorry, I'm also taking the liberty of doing this. So this is all that it takes.
Awesome.
And you just apply this on your face, on your neck, and that's it. And you can leave this on.
Awesome.
That's your haldi uptan. So stain-free.
I need to do that next time.
And carry it in a pouch. And incidentally, that pouch is dyed with, so after we extract the oil from the haldi, there is the substrate which is left behind, and we use that for dyeing these potlis.
Ah, no wonder they are like almost close to the haldi yellow, right? I mean, it's like, I was like, okay, I actually thought maybe that was the intent, but I didn't know it was done with that extract itself. Very nice. Okay.
And coming back to the ginger oil, actually, so this ginger is another very, very powerhouse of nature, okay? And
Right.
sont, Hindi mein sont bolte hain, shunti bolte hain, you call it inji in Tamil. So there are lots of different names, but basically it finds its way in Ayurveda, a sunti lepa. So when we talked about, a paste made out of ginger. If you apply it at night on tired feet, you will get rid of the edema and the tiredness and the pain. Okay. And if you have any local aches and pains, like chronic aches and pains, like arthritis or rheumatism, or even things like bloating and indigestion, you apply a paste of that, put a pack of that in your stomach. So ginger is extremely powerful, both as a preventive and as a healant. And both for, when I say preventive, when you apply this on the soles of your feet at night before sleeping, it is inspired from the Pada Bhyanga regimen in the Dinacharya, which is foot massage. And if you do it at night before sleeping, with this, it gives you the combined benefit of a Sunti Lepa with Pada Bhyanga. And again, that's all it takes. It takes just this 1 or 2 sprays and apply it on the soles of the feet, apply it locally on your knees, ankles. If you're working for long hours in front of the computer and you apply this, because typically that's what happens, whether you're in an IT job or you're in any job these days, that's what you do. We have very sedentary lives and we have a computer or a device in front of us. Or we're traveling a lot and jet lag. So when you do that, you relieve the stiffness. You can apply it on your pressure points like your temples, behind the ears. You can even massage your ears with it. So that is a Karna Bhyanga. It relieves the stress of all these electronic devices that we put to our ears.
Right.
And you can apply a few drops in your navel or nabi oiling. It works on digestion. For babies, if they have colic. So it's just like one of those all-powerful products.
Super awesome. Yeah.
Now that you have the starter kit, you should check out the hair oil. My whole idea, again, we're talking about leave-on products. So actually apply the hair oil in the roots, even after you wash, or if you're not willing for that, like I have oil in the roots, the hair doesn't look oily. It's like, works like a post-bath or post-wash serum. But if you're not geared up towards that, at least apply it on the night before sleeping. And if you do this 2 or 3 times a week, the oil is fully absorbed if you just keep it low. You don't have to topo it, because the hair is actually dead.
Right.
It's the roots which are alive, and that is what needs to soak in the the powerful herbs. And there are just so many wonderful ingredients in our traditions that, whether it is Avla, Brahmi, Bhringraj, hibiscus, curry leaves, methi dana, they all work on a variety of products. Again, you have to work on it as a prevention. So it inspired by the Shiro Bhyanga, but we don't have time to sit for 20 minutes and oil it and things. So you just apply a few drops and you're good to go. And
Awesome.
in Ayurveda, there's another thing, Sar thanda, pet naram, pair garam. So if you keep that, it'll work on a variety of, de-stressing, good quality hair, and good quality skin.
I love it, because I think these are challenges of the modern society we live in because of the fast pace that we are all in. And if we can get even a little bit of help with these ingredients, which are natural and have such amazing properties. So let me just do a recap. We've spoken about turmeric, we've spoken about ginger, all of that into these oils. And there is, of course, a lip balm also in the starter kit, which I need to try out. So that is also cool. We've talked a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, or the reluctant entrepreneurial journey. I keep reminding you of that, but that is very interesting because it has led to this amazing baby called Parama Naturals. So that's beautiful. You touched upon the linkage between Ayurveda, wellness. We're talking about skincare. I think we've talked of so many of these. I want our audience to know that we're going to come back to you with so much more. But for today, we are going to wrap it up with one key advice that you would want to give after all the advice you've given already, Geeta, on the dincharya, or the daily routine that people, we can incorporate things, in our daily routine. What one additional advice might you give to wrap up today's session? Because of course, we're going to have at least one more, if not two.
Brevity was never my forte. But now that you're pinning me down to one thing. So I would say that one thing is that I would say not even my entrepreneurial journey, but I would say that this is part of my life's journey. I think the only thing that we can think, which is common to everybody, or which is a constant in our lives, is change. And change, whether it is on a physical front, on the mental or emotional front. Okay, I've lost you, Sarika, I think.
Okay, but let's, oh, you can't see me.
Yeah, I can't see you.
Odd. Okay, I'm in front of the camera, so that's a very interesting thing. Okay. Okay, people, tech issue, hang on. For the viewers, we are coming back. Okay, nope, the camera fails to show me. What really happened? That's interesting. Okay.
Okay. While we're waiting for the viewers for you to come on, I thought I'll just add one last point about the ginger or the zingiber oil.
Go for it.
Foot massage at night before you sleep. Even when you don't have aches and pains, as a regular routine, when you do this foot massage, it helps you get a deeper sleep. And sleep is the panacea for most ills. So if you get deep sleep, and there's a lot of research which goes on REM and various things, but basically just get deeper sleep and you'll wake up feeling fresh. So just that tone. So I thought I'll put in a filler while we were waiting for you to come back on.
It's a beautiful filler, and I have no idea, but Zoom has taught me something, that even if the camera is working, it's not working. So not sure what. I was just here, but it's a new learning in many years. Okay. Okay. But did you want to go back to your previous point, or?
So I can continue from there, or I can restart. You tell me what works.
I think let's do a restart just to give more continuation.
So in my, not just in my entrepreneurial journey, but I think through my life's journey, the one thing that I've realized, or the one constant that I've realized in life, is that it's change. Whether it's on the physical front, whether it's on the mental, emotional front, whether it's on the financial front. But it's change, and that's the only constant. So what do you do about that? Because most of us in our minds are resistant to change, right? So ideally, if you anticipate change, you prepare for the change, then you can embrace it better and you can ride that wave. But how do you learn, how do you get prepared for that? And I think that is where one needs to build resilience inside, resilience, so that one can become, I would say, agile, so that you can ride the change. Because only when you make yourself strong, and typically you'll end up giving advice like, be healthy, wealthy, and wise, kind of a thing, right? So health, wealth, and wisdom, if you're constantly keep making sure that you look at keeping yourself healthy, you focus on earning well, or earning early, investing early, multiplying that. You will focus on good habits on a daily basis, that from a food, exercise, lifestyle point of view, you live your life. And apart from all that, keep your brain constantly active by learning something new on a regular basis, because you don't know what change that is going to be. Sometimes that change is change that you have planned, that you know that you're going to take this kind of a career shift, or you're going to take a break, or you're going to move cities. But very often changes, and for both men and women, happen due to external circumstances. It could be technological shifts, it could be tectonic shifts like what happened with the pandemic, it could be just your own, a milestone in your own home, or it could be health. It could be, when I say milestone, it could be marriage, childbirth. It could be health of a parent. It could be just anything. It could be just a desire that, yes, you want a break, you're having a mental breakdown or something. It could be so many things. But if we kind of fortify ourselves, and how do we fortify ourselves? As I said, one is having like a timetable, like, Dinacharya is all about that. The way we had timetables in school, make your own daily wellness timetable. Make your habit tracker, kind of a thing. Two is, on the money front, definitely look at making sure that you start investing early, you start compounding your savings, because I think that is what it did to me. Why my entrepreneurial journey, I could be a reluctant entrepreneur. I could choose to continue to be an entrepreneurial venture. I could choose to take a break from my career when my daughter was unwell. All these choices happen only because I could, I saved early. I didn't come from a wealthy background, came from an absolutely middle class background. Okay. So that was resilience financially. And the resilience or the agility mentally was this, like, I was constantly learning. The dots got connected over a period of time. You don't know where the dots get connected. Keep having your interests, keep your passions alive, keep some hobbies where you're learning, where you're calming down. Learn something new every day. It could be embroidery, it could be cooking, it could be learning and reading about some new management principle, whatever it is. The mind, it's like different parts of a motor or an engine or whatever. You need to keep lubricating it. And the synapses, and this is what I learned when I was, raising my babies, was that you keep giving them stimuli. And the more stimuli you give a baby, there are more synapses that get developed in your brain. And this thing, I think, remains through our whole life. At some stages in life, they are very fast-paced synapses develop, and some stages lower, but you have to just keep yourself alive. So that one thing is, just be ready for change, embrace it, become resilient and agile for it on all fronts, the body, mind, and the soul, and finances. Because when you're mentally calm, and financial strength is definitely one of us.
Love that totally, Geeta. That's awesome. So for all our viewers and listeners, this is just part one of bringing Geeta to our podcast today. There's so much more, I'm sure, that we can uncover. Stay tuned. We will have yet another episode. I'm going to wait also for our listeners and viewers to tell us what more would you like to learn from Geeta's journey. Now that you've got a good sneak peek into a lot of stuff, actually, not just indulging in the luxury of purity, but also of wellness, health, healing, a lot that Geeta has already touched upon. I know she's got these 5 cornerstones, as I've been reading on her website, and I urge all of you also to go to paramanaturals.com, right? Yes. And read up. I think there's an interesting journey out there already. And I looked up purity, healing, simplicity, sustainability, and inclusivity. So that's getting very interesting. Read that up. But before that, as my wrap up, I think I would say, Geeta, I think for me today, this change is not just for the human, the person themselves. I think as you're probably also saying on your journey, it is about being sustainable, right? It's a lot about sustainability, not just from an individual point of view, but also from a holistic society point of view. It's a larger picture that we can all, feel empowered with, actually, by using all the natural ingredients, really not using any chemicals. And the fact that you are empowering us with all of that, I feel proud of that. So well done, Geeta. It's really a beautiful journey to be on, and I'm hoping at least to be a part of that journey. And very grateful to have you on this podcast today. It's been a wonderful conversation, and I definitely want to have yet another conversation. And maybe before you say that, what I heard pre-conversation or pre-recording with you, I'm going to say that in a Geeta way or in a Parama way, celebrate each and every day the Parama way, right? That's what you might have said. Okay, I'm going to close with this, but I was like, no, I'm going to steal that away totally. It's such a beautiful thing because, it is unique. It's just inspiring. It's just inspiring. Your journey is very, very inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the faith. Thank you so much for reaching out. Thank you so much. Really means the world to me. And I hope that, well, not just Parama, that even beyond that, for people, even if they don't have access to it, just be mindful of what you're consuming, because your body, this was in one of the meditation classes which I attended, it said your body is the temple of the living God. And the way when we go to temples and we go to our puja griha at home or wherever, we don't take harmful things in. So just take the best things in, be mindful, and that's all that is important. Whether it's food, whether it's what you apply, whether it's the thoughts, I think everything is important. And wish you really, wish all your viewers, thank you, Sarika, because I think we need to celebrate ourselves because we are worth it. Genuinely. That's something which we'll end up doing. We'll end up only looking at other people. We'll end up saying, oh, wow, so good. And, I'm so worth this. I mean, I'm talking about myself. So often through my life, despite all the celebratory achievements or whatever, within ourselves, we always see the worst of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So we're constantly belittling ourselves. So I think that's something which we need to work on ourselves on a regular basis.
Very beautiful. So be intentional, be mindful of everything you do, and be kind to yourself. It means a lot. Thank you again, Geeta, and I hope to see you very, very soon. And to all our viewers and listeners, remember to subscribe to our podcast. And remember, if you are listening to us, there is a link to the video of the podcast on the YouTube channel. So it's there in the show notes below. You are welcome to click on it and have a watch. And if any questions, we are all just human. Write back, and I would be happy to, bring more questions also to Geeta, and come back with those questions addressed in our next podcast. Thank you again. See you all soon. Thanks, Geeta. Bye.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Sarika.